My name is Theodore Cottingham, and I'm here with some good news. The good news of Jesus, not, but the good news of who we are. No longer cast down by the stories of the past. We are coming into our own knowledge of ourselves to be who we really are, with a diction and grammar that needs not even syllables of energy to produce it a certain way. Our lives have been fashioned by other people. And you realize that now, don't you? The people who taught us what the world is like, how it operates, what to expect and what to be fearful of. What our opportunities may be and what our limits are. But I think we're getting the message now. I think there are many who are ready for this message and already have parts of the message. Maybe the whole message, maybe more than I have. But we're coming to a place where we're coming together, one. You see, the message was never about someone else. The message the message of Christ, the message of Jesus, the message of God, the message of reality, of what this reality exists as, what this reality seems to be, and what is the reality of ourselves. What is the reality of you? We've all been fashioned by other people, by neurons, functions of molecules. We've taken our cues. We've learned our limits. We've established our place. We've staked out our territory. We've fashioned a life. We have lived our words, and our words have lived us, limited us, surrounded us, given us energy, and taken it from us. But see, the energy of the words that we have been given no more surround us as chains do. We're coming out. We're growing up. Just like maybe one day when we were little, I don't know how many may have done this, but maybe some little small children wearing a diaper finally said one day, I don't need this diaper any longer. It's no longer a help, it's a bother. I want big people's clothes. I can wear pants and panties or whatever. I can wear grown-up stuff. And we began to grow up and we were taught God. We were taught about Santa Claus, many of us. But there was a time we finally pierced the veil. We saw through the veil. We saw the Santa Claus picture isn't really truth. It's a story for a purpose. And people have repeated that purpose and told that story over and over. Many still do. And all this time as we grow up from the crib, from diapers, into clothes, into Santa Claus, into learning the language, learning from our parents, our family, our friends, our schoolmates, our teachers, preachers, pastors, imams, whoever we're learning from. And all the time they tell us what this world is. They tell us what God is. They tell us what all-powerful, what the I am is. They tell us our place. They tell us what we're to do. Tell us what we're to be. We're told. And we are told to death. And so many of those words are sentences like spears, javelins. But I came across some words in red where Jesus said, if you believe in me, you will do the things that I do, the works I do, and greater. And I came across this little verse. That was John 14:12. John 14:4, I think, I don't know. I know the way, you know the way. You know the way. You know the way. But we've forgotten the way because we have all these people telling us who we are, what our limits are. Don't you realize just a few years ago, even in America, a woman couldn't vote? A few years ago, even in my lifetime, my mom couldn't buy a piece of land. She couldn't get a loan without Dad. She went to the bank to borrow money. They said, Miss Cottingham, come back with your husband. That was in my lifetime. I'm 73. There have been many changes, but not like there's about to be. For we are going to a new world. We are not limited to this world. We are not limited to these molecules. We are not limited to this energy that wants to constrict us, to put us in this form, for we are amorphous. You see, this is what Meonics is about. I teach Meonics. That's a name given to me in my channelings, that I channeled a force, a source. I channeled things I didn't know. For years and still do. But my motive, I was seeking God. But my effort, my quest, my goal, I wanted to know God. Not vicariously. I wanted to know the real McCoy. I wanted to know the source. And I learned the source would speak. And I learned to receive communications, and I called it learning to know the voice of God, learning to speak the first person words of God. I've used all sorts of phrases as I have grown out of the fashion and form of all the people's words that have formed me up to this point. And there are still artifacts of religion in my brain. Artifacts, things, thoughts, memories, verses, experiences that led me to believe something else, but I'm now coming in to the knowledge of who I am. And I share this knowledge day after day. I've been writing the first person words of God. That's what I used to call it for a long time. The first person words of God, you want to read them? The first 2,400 multi-page messages from God are online, and you can search them. They're available to you. They've been available to you for years. I began putting them online freely. In early 2003, 21 years ago. You can learn love. There's this little Bible verse again. I'm not trying to teach the Bible, but I reference it because so many people are immersed in it, as I was, and I still value it highly, even though in one sense I have laid it down. It is no longer my anchor, my foundation, nor my resting place, nor does it define any longer to me my origin, my future, or my now. But I still value it because so much information, terrific metaphors, the great allegory. It speaks of the covenant, the new and everlasting, the new covenant that replaces all other covenants. The Davidic covenant, Abrahamic covenant, the Noah covenant, all covenants. So the verse I was about to mention, seek me and you shall find me. When you seek me with all of your heart. Me, who's me? Of course, people want to say, well, it can't be you. Of course, naturally. So you're removed to the status of a spectator. You're not central to the story by the definition of Christianity. Christianity claims to give you God, the story of God, bring you closer to God, help you know God. It does the exact opposite. Christianity simply helps you know a story. Much of it concocted, contrived, much of it derived from various belief systems and religions way before Christianity formed. The whole idea of God was passed down for centuries and centuries, millennia. And a special one to come, a special one would come. Because it seems like all of history, all the history we know about and more, people had hope for more than they were experiencing the life of. And we are beginning to understand who we are. We are beginning to realize who we are. I think some of us are beginning to get it. We're actually beginning to get it. To get what? The story, the revelation. The revelation that you're in it. You're in the story. You're central to the story. The story is not complete without you. You, my friend. This is Empowerment Month. Not, this is the power of a little child learning. Saying, Mom, Dad, it's time to take my training wheels off my bicycle. I think I can do it. I can ride. I can ride without those training wheels. I think I can do it. Wait, don't go away. Hold on to me for a few minutes. Help me a little more, but take them off. You see, there's advancement, there's growth. You grow out of the crib, out of the diapers, out of the longing, yearning for something better, or has something innate within us experienced something more. And those artifacts of the more are still in us. We know there's more. But we've drawn a blank. We've created a veil. No, a veil was created for us. Other people gave us the veil. Other people separated us from who we really are. If you don't know who you are, you can't operate to the full capacity of whatever that capacity may be. Governments want to keep you in ignorance. Government, religion, people who separate you from God are ignorant. Intentionally ignorant, most of them, because they have deliberately and intentionally devoted their lives to a story without ever learning who they are, who you are. The stories of cruelty abound throughout the centuries. The brutality. But I tell you, there's love, and there's no shortage of love. There's only shortage of knowledge. And this is not knowledge that you get in a seminary. This is knowledge you get on your knees. Or laying down on a cold slate floor in a huge cathedral. or allowing yourself to be pinned to a cross knot, or any of these things. You see, all these things are stories of the past. And you're getting it if you're willing to see the real me, the chosen one. All the chosen ones are connected and learn how to speak, not needing syllables. All the chosen ones. Who are the chosen ones? You are. If you will choose you. If you will choose you to be the chosen one. Seek me and you will find me, and you will find me when you seek me with all of your heart. And I am unlimited. And I will teach you from afar. I will teach you from beside you. I will teach you from within you. I will teach you where I impart my energy, my consciousness, my vocabulary, my life, my love, my existence. You will reign in as a complete equal, no longer establishing hierarchy. We're beginning to know who we are. And realize we must grow up. Love is a flow. And as soon as you want to canonize it, say, this is love. This is defined love. This is how it operates. This is it. This is what we're going to magnify and worship, hold high. This will define our life and our future. You're dead. You just don't know it yet. You're just walking out life until you die. You're in a carcass. That suit of life, that life suit, that flesh, no matter what it looks like to you, no matter what your bank account is, your affluence or power, no matter how many rings you've worn and people have kissed your rings or your ass, I'm telling you, it's all different. Ignorance will no more rule this world. Because I am here. And my name is love in action. And who am I? What do I look like? I'll tell you who I look like. I am you who will be me. Me who? Me. A consciousness. Not the limited consciousness of an old man with a bunch of radical ideas. Though you can portray me as that. You can write me off. Quite easy to do. Say I've been watching too many science fiction movies. And look at all the people who talk about their spirit, their spirit. Their spirit, the Spirit of God, the Spirit, the Ghost, the Holy Ghost, Casper. Okay, I'm showing you a picture. It's a really interesting picture. There are a lot of things I think you can draw from this picture. You can gain from it. You can learn from it. Of course, all of that network of light, beauty, portrays the essence of the cosmos, but it's also sort of in the shape of what's between your ears, the shape of your brain. Everything that we have been programmed by man, everything that limits us is coming to an end. For I am. I am. The great I am is a collective I am. It's a collective that communicates, that networks, that doesn't envelop you to restrict you, but empowers you to be at equal with it, equal part of it, exhibiting and utilizing all of its power. Remember when Jesus told his disciples, you feed them. You feed them. You don't have to go to town and buy bread. You feed them. But see, they didn't know how. They had not grown into the message to become the message. They were still in awe, bewilderment of the man, the flesh man. What is it in Corinthians or something? It says, heretofore we have known Jesus after the flesh. We've seen Jesus as flesh. But now we no longer know him in the flesh, but in the spirit. In the spirit, one. John 17. Jesus acknowledges he's not from earth, and we aren't either. And Jesus constantly acknowledges his commonality as a common person just like you and me, referring to himself, Son of Man. Religion comes along and even capitalizes that to, in fact, segment it in order to classify it as divine. Divine. And whatever's divine is sacred. Sacred and divine. And you are not to take issue with anything religion says, or they'll label you a blasphemer, excommunicate you, hang you. All in the name of God? Where's love? When you're ready to grow up, when you're ready to take the diapers off of religion, to take the practices off of your training wheels and ride that bicycle as fast as you can pedal it with the wind in your hair. I remember when I learned I could ride it without holding on to the handlebars. I could just sit up there like I'm eating a sandwich and pedal and even go around corners. I loved it. I loved my red bicycle. And with all its utility, with all of its value to me, with all it gave me the capacity to do, to travel faster, to go to the store and bring home a candy bar. There came a time. Yeah, there was a while I wanted a go-kart. But there comes a time when I no longer am content to only have the bicycle. I no longer want to be limited to the pedal power. I no longer want to be limited to my own power of me pedaling my bicycle. I want a hot rod. I want a hot rod. Oh, I dream about hot rod, fast cars. As a kid, still on my bicycle, I learned about a place called a mail order catalog. I learned about a place called, I think it was Auto World. And it was a place, they sent out this catalog occasionally, and I could order model cars that I put together, glue them together, get an X-Acto knife, learn how to use that. Yep, cut myself a few times. Learn how to spray paint them. Learn how to sand, polish. We grow up. But religion has not grown us up. The stories of God have not grown us up. They've been stagnant. Because Christianity came along and canonized the word. They wanted to put their belief system in concrete. Where? Why? To control it. To establish a central doctrine so they could control it, so they could establish their hierarchy. Don't you see the futility of that? Slavery to a book. That's slavery to a system, slavery to religion, slavery to a system of thought, a belief system. We're growing up. We're finally beginning to see who we are. We're beginning to get the itch, the 7-year itch. As a kid, we're beginning to see that we can walk without diapers, and we can see ourselves in big people's clothes. We begin to see us riding a bicycle, our own. We begin to see us. We lay down our want. Oh, I wanted a go-kart. But there comes a time I no longer want it. I laid down that want. I wanted a bicycle. I had a bicycle. I enjoyed a bicycle. It was productive. I loved it. But there comes a time to change. And there came a time. And honestly, I need to correct something. I said, I think yesterday or the day before, I said something about I bought a car. Well, really, my parents bought my first car. Lo and behold, a red 64 GTO. 389 Hurst 4-speed Krager mags, red with red interior, and it was one screaming machine. And I was just as crazy, as immature as but we grow up, don't we? Or we don't, and we choose. And we're at a point where we're choosing to make a leap. Where the Bible is no longer our guide. It is no longer our foundational anchor. It is not the book that defines the beginning of time or the end of time, though it has stories about both. But there's more to the story. There's more to our mind. There's more to this thing between our ears. The garden of creation. You see, we're beginning to know who we are. We're beginning to grow up. We're beginning to mature. I think maybe that's why the Bible verse that says it's easier for what? Someone rich, wealthy, affluent? No, it's easier for, what is it? A camel to go through the eye of the needle than a person who enjoys the riches of this life to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why? And why does it say the last shall be first and the first shall be last? Why does it say the harlots and tax collectors will enter heaven before the religious? Because the affluent and the religious are in power, they have authority, they have employees, they have servants, they have money. They aren't seeking with all of their heart. When you want to know the source more than you want breath, believe me, she will appear. Life. Not with ovaries, not with a uterus, but a womb of the real. The real is not limited to time, space, and gravity. It's not limited to your classical physics. You are not of this world. You are not limited to your 13th floor. And if you haven't seen the movie The 13th Floor, I highly recommend it. And if you watch it and you don't get it, you don't understand it, you think it's a piece of trash, wait a week and watch it again. Watch it again. Glean. You see, this doesn't look like it in this picture. But the network of light in your brain is the tree of life. You have the power of life and death. The power of life and death is in your tongue. Not that little piece of flesh, but the words, the energy, the motive. We are beginning to grow up and no longer need our Bible. No longer need a Bible. We are growing up so that we don't need religion. We don't need the church. We don't need a pastor. We no longer tolerate the arrogance of so many preachers, teachers, proclaimers to tell us how to live. We're making a a hyperleap, hyperdrive going into gear, going into hyperspace. Yep, too much Star Trek. Okay. But aren't these valuable? They're valuable analogies, metaphors. If there's any value to John 14:12, let there be love and light for us to see it and see this was the original intent of Jesus and always was. If you believe in me, do the things I do, because I'm here showing you that you can do them. This is why I do them. That was his message. See you doing these things. See you raising the dead. A lot of people might be unhappy with you, especially the morticians, the embalmers. You might disrupt their business. You are not limited to diapers anymore. You're not limited to playing in the sandbox. You're not limited to a bicycle with training wheels. In fact, you're no longer limited to the bicycle at all. You're not even limited to a car. My friend, the message of Meonics. You are no longer limited to your body of flesh. You are no longer limited to your five sense mind. Because you're learning who you are, and you're learning you can use it instead of it using you to be in separation, to be your own creation, telling you what you can and cannot do. Just go do it. You begin to flow the words of love, light, and peace. And just like I used to talk, teach, write, God speaking to me speaking the first person words of God as I learned, I no longer need the religious jargon, vernacular, parlance. I'm no longer dependent on a God view. I've met the heart. And the heart of what I call that is love, is for all of us to be it and be doing all these things ourselves so that we no longer work on an assembly line. We're no longer worried about whether we have enough to eat, enough money, pay school tuition, enough money for medicine. There is another existence. And I am here to prove it. Or am I just an old man with some radical ideas? Who are you in your mirror? Will you see love this day? Will you touch love? Will you feel love? Will you damn it no longer? Will you love love? Will you say to love, arise? Not in a memory, not in a story of a future, but today, now. Will you see these stories that so many people have said are history and not for today, are liars? They're ignorant. They're still wearing their diaper and trying to put diapers on you. I'm telling you, we're growing up. We're growing out of the faith to have faith for something else that creates the separation of who we are from what we really are. The one we are with the capacity to heal, to live, to reproduce, to calm the storm, to heal the fevered child. When you're willing to want love, to seek love more than your breath, you will learn that love will come teach you directly so that you become it, no longer separate. You and it become one. That's why I like this picture. It's what AI says is some kind of likeness of me standing with a physical 3D world on one side of me looking molecular, and the other vertical half of me is portrayed as a network of light, energy, connections. One, you and the Creator are one. We always were, but we didn't know it. God was supposedly this divine thing, this divine man, this divine entity, but we were it. In the past, we were. What created all of this, we are. We are our creation. And now we're growing up. Pinocchio. There's a number of Pinocchio movies, but one of them really touches me completely differently than the others. And at the end of the movie, or do you remember Pinocchio? Do you remember Pinocchio's quest? What he wanted? He wanted to be real. I won't spoil the ending. Pinocchio. Oh. Gulliver's Travels. You can learn an immense amount. Again, there's 3 or 4 different movies made at different times. Pardon me. But one of them, I should look this up. I think it's the one with Jack Black. Certain scenes done so well visually convey such enormous truth and revelation for who can see it. How do you learn? You begin to learn, you begin to learn exponentially when you're willing to come as a little child and say, teach me. Love, whatever your name is, Betty Sue, Ralph, love, teach me. You could say what I did a zillion times. Teach me and teach me to teach. Why did I ever have that first thought? Teach me and teach me to teach. Well, that didn't originate in my subservient cognitive power. The very idea to pray that sentence, teach me and teach me to teach, came from truth, came from love. Saw my heart, heard my heart, felt my heart. I'm asking you to know your heart and let your way come into a cycle of religion no more, but one of creation, the new and everlasting covenant. The cycle of creation, operationalizing the covenant of creation. The covenant, no longer mechanical, no longer built with your own words, no longer experiencing the limitations of the past. Join the club of freedom. I'm sorry. Join the community of freedom. Freedom. Freedom where people begin to know whatever said, worship me and only me, is not freedom. It's not freedom producing. It produces hierarchy, classification, compromise, conciliation, contentment. This is where the name, the School of Cosmic Leadership, comes into play. We're not limited to earth. Are you getting it? John 17, where Jesus was from, where you're from. Are you from Andromeda? Are you from another time? Time doesn't operate linear like we think it does. In truth, we can go forward, backward. We're not limited to dimensions. We're not limited to the language where people have given us rules to live. The Bible is valuable, but let not the Bible rule your life or be your definition of your past, present, or future anymore. But you can still reference it and draw from it because there's so much rich in metaphorical stories, allegorical stories. The same as with Database One. The first 2,400 lessons, they're online, they're searchable. If you're willing, you can see a God beyond God. You can go where no man has gone. You can learn to limit you no more to your flesh. And when you no more limit you to your flesh, it's not a big deal to walk on water. It's no big deal. It's just like the day after you learn to ride your bicycle without training wheels. You enjoy it. But it's not that big a deal. You pierced the veil. You pierced the veil. I'm sorry. So you no longer walk on water for people to look at you or see you or create a bunch of followers. When you're ready to love instead of a God figure, when you're ready to learn the Word, not in a book, not canonized, but the uncontrollable Word, the uncontrollable Word that man cannot control anymore. The uncontrollable Word, the uncontrollable energy, not the field of fate, but a field where there is no fealty to other. You'll learn to use words in ways that no longer use you. In Database 1, I experienced so many things for which I had no precedent. And even when I began to share them with other people, they'd mock, laugh. Tell me I needed to see a counselor. But when you're willing to flow love and let love speak, love will not torment you. Love is not even afraid that you may misinterpret her words. Love is not afraid that when you take those training wheels off, that you fall down and skin your knee and you cry for a few minutes. Because love is not separate from you. And if you won't separate from love, love will teach you. Teach you to teach telepathically. Teach you to communicate beyond the need of words. Entering a field, a state of existence, dimensionlessness, where you are no longer limited by the magnetic. You're no longer limited to this world. And this, my friend, is where you can feed the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Where you can get in a boat to go to the other side, the other shore, and instantaneously be there. Where you, if all the religious leaders come against you and take you to the edge of town to throw you off a cliff, you can walk right through them. You see how to see your power. You see how to reveal, operationalize your joy, creating the new you that is not limited to your flesh. Oh, please, please do. So many times I teach an hour and I think you could make a whole course, a mini course, a micro course, a 6-week course, a 10-week course, a 16-week course out of all that I've given in this hour. Learn to teach. You first. Be willing to learn from your love, through your love. Be willing to take your training wheels off. Be willing to lay down your Bible. Not throw it away. Don't trash it. But just like you, pick up a wrench one day to take off those training wheels, or you ask somebody else to. You begin to see there's more to the story. You begin to see your makeup. You begin to see it's not about the rules. All those things called the 10 Commandments, there may be some value to some of them, sure, but not the first 3. Let not your heart be troubled. You are the creator of you. You created you. We wanted to control us. We wanted to create creation to experience our own mind of separation. But now we're seeing what a mess we've made of things. And just like the prodigal son story in the Bible, we recognize that as the story goes, in his father's house was his servants had more than enough to eat. They were treated well. They didn't live with the pigs and eat pig slop. Religion is pig slop. Anything that separates you from your power, the power that is inherent in love and not separate from it. Mankind wants to separate power from love and use the power. Love is powerful. Love doesn't need molecular swords. Love speaks the living word. And the living word creates the living, not limited to our 3D existence. And that's why picture after picture, I guess I've made 1,000 of them now, of joy, of flight, of coming out of the chains, and coming out from underneath the influence of those who would have you sit under them. Serve a religion. Tithe to them, my friend. I love you. Let love flow in you this day. Pick up your pen and write me. You can write me. You can write me at Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, USA. You can write me. You can email me. TheodoreEureka@gmail.com. And I've given you my website many times. It's my name, TheodoreCottingham.com. You can sign up for the email list. I'm doing a little more emailing. I have so many notes. So many notes. I've written outline for several books. I begin working on it, and at times I think, It's time for you to write. Please write. Please learn to write the first person words of God. God, Ralph, Betty Sue. Call it your name. Call it whatever you want. With the motive of love, begin to let love flow. And everything I've talked about, see Jesus the pattern. You are not limited to this world, and you are not limited to 70 years, my friend. You're not limited to any false god, to any god at all. But if you choose, you can limit yourself to that. And you will experience what you corroborate to yourself because you are the creator of you. And we're coming in to the true creation of us. Light. A new race. A leap no longer for mankind, but a leap for love. Okay, time to go get a mocha. I'll trot down to the coffee shop, but it's more like I meander down to the coffee shop these days. Let the mantle of true light, love, and peace be upon you this day. From Elijah to Elisha. Simply grow up. The Christ is you who will be it. The chosen one is you who will choose you. The chosen people are many and innumerable across time and space. See the love. See the infinite. Be the immortal. Coming into the interdimensional. Perfected love. I go. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this time. Loving these words and letting yours flow so that love teaches you. And you begin to teach also. You begin to write outlines of all these things and share them with other people. You begin a fellowship in your home, in the library, in the coffee shop. You do a one-day seminar, a 2-hour seminar. You begin to exercise your leadership to do things you've never done. And let no man put you in their place according to their role model. It's time to fly. Neo? Did you hear me, Neo? I watched the 4th Matrix movie the other night. Matrix Resurrection. What an ending. What an ending. I don't want to spoil it. What an ending. The Truman Show movie. If you haven't watched it, it's a great allegory. Terrific. The Truman Show movie. The Adjustment Bureau. Why is it so powerful? Because of its ending. You begin to see you're no longer the spectator. You're no longer the one who's sitting on the side while everybody else does whatever they want to, or God does its thing in the cosmos. No, my friend. The script, the manuscript, the script of your life is waiting for you to write it. Write it with the words of your mouth, and let the meditations of your heart no longer seek to be acceptable to another God, another entity, but creating you in the garden of fearlessness, the garden of dimensionlessness, the garden of power that's a part inextricably of perfect love and only love. Okay. Theodore Eureka at gmail.com, TheodoreCottingham.com. And investigate, examine, explore. Going to a land I will show you as you go. For your map, your compass, your guide, your love is all within you. Let there be light. See you later. Good day. Share these words and be the living word.